And now for something completely different. Hello, everyone. We are here in the spoiler room. It is the last of our murderous month. It has been a very interesting journey looking at a variety of films with the word murder in the title. And if you think this last one isn't going to be different, well, you're wrong because we're going back to 1957 and we are looking at the second film in the St. Trinian's. Got it right. The second film in the St. Trinian's franchise, which I didn't realize was a franchise
It's like 8
until I looked up this film. And then I was like, wait, there's how many of these? So tonight,
I think it caught in the beginning the credit for Alistair Sim was that Alistair Sim returns as.
yes, yep,
Like,
yeah.
oh, okay.
Yep. So thank you everyone for venturing down the stairs, pulling up a chair and popping your favorite drink as we talk movie spoilers. And tonight I have a wonderful crew with me once again. As always, I do every week. These folks make this show sound really good. And first off, it is from the Last Drive in the Literary License Podcast. He is the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Joe Randazzo. Hello, Joe. How are you?
Hey, everyone.
So glad you could join us today. And also with us, as always, is the man who keeps coming back for more, my right-hand man from down south. No, just kidding. It's other than Mr. Ian Simmons. Hello, Ian. How are you?
Howdy, Mark. I'm doing great. I love being from the South.
You're from that down south Illinois place.
Yeah. Right now near Juliet, I like going to the Jewels. And yeah, it's great to be here. I'm going to talk like this the entire time. I hope you're ready.
Yeah, there. Hey, well, you go down there to the Alamo. There.
You sound like a Youper. What are you doing there, Mark?
We're all Youpers up above Illinois. So anyway, yes, Blue Murder at St. Trinian's, which, spoiler already, folks, there's no murder.
Yeah. I know. What's going on with this murder business?
Okay, my wife is very versed in many things. She is a highly intelligent woman who does not only reading, but knows lots of British stuff as well. So the blue murder part is actually short for Scream Blue Murder, which stands for having a tantrum. So this is in a representation of having a tantrum at St. Trinian's.
But they didn't even have the tantrum at St. Trinian. They leave the school like 15 minutes in.
But, other people had tantrums because St. Trinian was winning. But we'll get to that in a little bit. But that's where it comes from. My wife, like I said, she it's one of the reasons, many reasons I married her, and I don't know why she's still married to me, but she's a warehouse of knowledge that I can tap into when I go, "What's this mean, honey?" And she goes, "Here, dear, let me explain it to you," and then it's all good. So that's what that blue murder part is.
Well, that makes sense because you've heard the phrase "screaming bloody murder." I think, right. Wow, it totally makes sense. If this had been called Bloody Murder at St. Trinian's, it would have not been as jarring. So yeah, it makes sense. But yeah,
so, wow, yeah, it's so that's the. But there's lots of things that are interesting about this film. We'll get into, but Ian, why don't you tonight give us the synopsis of Blue Murder at St. Trinian's?
I'll try. I still don't know what the hell this movie's about. I'm going to need your help. There's the Italian prince or someone wants a wife, so he's casting a net and auditioning girls from all over Europe or something. I don't know. He wants am I even close here?
Well, he's looking through like a flip book of like all these girls. He's got binders full of women.
Yeah, he's the Mitt Romney of the 50s. Yeah,
I got the story of this real quick too. Back in the day, for school, the schools for girls was its sole purpose was to educate the women enough to be proper wives for individuals in society, to be proper, to know cooking and cleaning and such, and supposed to be very proper. And the whole point was these schools, and this did actually happen, not like the Harry Hill angle of the St. Trinians, but everything about St. Trinians is non-traditional compared to the rest of society, you gather real quick. But yes, the purpose was to educate women just enough so that they would make very good spouses, and then they would have them pair up possibly with those in society or whatnot. They would try to match make them. So that actually happened back then. So that's where this is coming from. But since it's St. Trinians, which is like the rebel, rowdy, rogue girls' school, of course, the guy they have trying to pair them with people is like, is like 76 bones. He's like Harry Hill talking to this Italian prince. And I can take it over if you want, Ian.
Go ahead.
I've got like 17 women I can bring to you, man.
So he's got this book of the women who are eligible to be married in this book. The women who we assume 18, hopefully.
Well,
17,
it does have they're of age.
Well, but two completely different things. But no, they've got these picture books, right? And they like have them in bikinis or whatever. And I think they've got their measurements underneath the photographs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's one thing. But then when you actually get to St. Trinians, the age range of these girls is like, let's call them 18 down to like what, 12? Like, what is this movie?
I think he only showed the book of eligible age.
Or close to eligible age. We presume they're not showing like the 9-year-olds.
They don't ever come out. And so I would like to think this, because otherwise things get really uncomfortable. But in any case, so, and this was funny because I ran into this trying to explain this to the movie to my wife. So you bear with me, folks, because I had kind of the same trouble as well. Here we go. So we have our salesperson, I call him the Harry Hill of this whole thing. He's the guy who is trying to pair up the girls from St. Trinians with this Italian prince. Why is it such a challenge? Because St. Trinians is a group of the girls' school who are definitely not traditional. They know how to handle guns. They know how to break into safes. They know how to do a lot of rather shady things. They have a very wide range of talents that are not exactly for the time period this is placed in ladylike. Okay, basically the setting,
it's not ladylike in any time period.
Okay, but in any case, so I think this is Flash Harry, played by George Cole. So he gets this prince to agree, but the prince can't pick just one of the eligible bachelorettes who go to this school. So he's like, oh, well, I'll bring them all over to Italy. And he goes, well, I can't do it by the end of school because we'll be traveling. So they come up with this plan to win this national competition to be able to tour Europe, which ends in Italy, which then they'll be able to bring the girls to the Italian prince so he can meet every one of them. The problem is it's St. Trinians, and these ladies don't exactly answer the questions properly. But they come up with this wonderful plan to swap answers with forged answers so that they can win the contest, go to Europe, and meet Italy. But that's not all. While this is going on, ladies and gentlemen, there's a jewel heist. The jewel heist is pulled off by one of the ladies who go to St. Trinian's, their dad. Their dad shows up at St. Trinian's. Being the rogue school that they are, Britain doesn't want them to go represent the country over in Europe. So they try to have them not be there. There's a new headmistress because the other one got arrested. There's a new headmistress who is brought in, but they kidnap her, swap her with the jewel thief dad, who is now in drag, acting like the headmistress, as they try to get him away from the cops who are hot on his trail. Speaking of the cops, there's this couple. And of this couple, the constable mishandles the case trying to track down the jewel thief. So he sends his cop woman girl fiance to pose as a translator to try to capture the jewel thief so he can get back in good with his boss. And all of this culminates in chaos.
Oh, and the military is at the school too.
And let's not forget that the military at the beginning of the movie was put in charge of the school, and nearly all the soldiers have some kind of injury or another because these ladies and young women who go to St. Trinian's are just rogue agents that scares everybody.
I was gonna say like feral or something.
Yeah.
But then there's the one really, really beautiful one that's just laying in bed reading. And all the military guys are all searching around her bed for the jewel thief.
Well, not just the cops too. Everybody, the jewel thief comes in.
It's like, oh, where can he be? We're gonna look around where this really gorgeous woman is laying in bed.
You get the one line that he says when he's in there when they're trying to hide him, and he goes, "I wish this place wasn't so distracting." And he keeps looking at her, and she is so disinterested in any guy who puts male gaze on her. She's just like, whatever, and rolls over and completely just ignores them all.
Yeah, she could not care less. She just keeps reading her magazine. That's it.
I think was that Virginia was her name? I think it was.
I think it was.
Yeah, she was. They deemed her, and I'm not sure the slang on it. They called her the school's SWAT. I don't know what, or something along that lines. But in any case, yeah, that's her whole purpose. She just sits in beds and reads, and looks pretty to distract all the men, and everybody else is just like whatever. And I just love how disinterested she is in it.
And it's not like the other girls go to the school, weren't pretty. It's just she's just like the bombshell of the group.
Well, they even like photo, and maybe it's a carryover from the first film. I'm not sure because I didn't unfortunately get a chance to see the first film beforehand. But even the way she's the camera shot, they've got like a softer lens over her or whatever. I mean, it's like just this almost angelic type thing with her, and she is completely disinterested in anybody who even looks her way. She's just like, yeah, whatever. And she just reads from her book. I found it hilarious. One of the many things I found actually quite funny in this film.
Yeah, it kind of like looked to me like the way they used to shoot Jane Mansfield.
Yeah,
like that's kind of how they shot this girl. But yeah, this had its moments. I like Terry Thomas a lot, so it was great seeing him and him taking out the female constable while they're in Italy and trying to figure out a way to get the reward so they could split it. So that becomes another subplot in this movie with like 1,000 subplots.
It's got so many subplots. It's crazy.
And that's one of my, I like the movie, and I would like to watch the other St. Trinian's films. I would just hope that they're more focused on these crazy girls at this school. It's like a boarding school full of Wednesday Addamses or something. But yeah, by the time we get to them like touring Europe and stuff, it's so much about the adults and all these other weird subplots and things that I'm like, this just doesn't. It feels like it was almost a bait and switch. I like the little details, like when they send in the military to the school and all of the soldiers keep disappearing, and the one guy is going to his superior officer saying, "Where do I find the personnel to find the personnel?" and then one of the other people refers to the girls at St. Trinian's as they're things in human shape, sir. And I love that. The school play they're putting on, which was postponed, was Dracula's Daughters. Standing in the auditorium waving swords, which was appropriate because later on we meet Eric the Lift Man, played by a comparatively very young Michael Ripper, who is a staple in the Hammer films. I'm like, what? This movie is great. I definitely feel like I came in the middle of something. So yeah, I got to go back and watch. How many other these were there?
7 total movies.
7. Yeah. They recently did it again, and the director of this was pretty much half his career was directing these films. because there's the Bells of St. Trinian's, which was the first one. There's this one. Then there's Hell at St. Trinian's, I think. Then they did one in the 60s. They did one in the 80s. And they recently did one in, I think, in the aughts, if I'm not mistaken. Like,
are they all part of the same series? Because I was just looking here. I didn't look at when they were made. Let me look. Oh yeah, 2009 was the last one.
Yeah, I remember seeing.
These are all related, even the ones made in the 2000s.
Yeah, well, they're based off of, and I just pulled it up here. I should have knew this earlier. I'm sorry, folks. I failed as a host. Here's my podcast card. I'm just gonna sit here and drink myself as my liver leaves my body. No, St. Trinian's. It's based off of a British gag cartoon comic strip series that ran from 46 to 52. And so it is supposed to be a boarding school for girls where teachers are sadists and the girls are juvenile delinquents. And
it sounds very like Charles Addams kind of cartoons. Yeah, because there's that title card at the beginning. It said, inspired by the original drawings of the girls and staff at St. Trinian's, which, without that context, it sounds very Peeping Tomish. Like, I'm just going to sit here and draw these girls at this Catholic school. What? And then we're going to make a movie. No, back away, sir.
So yeah, from 54 to 66, they made 4 of them. There was the Bells of St. Trinian's, Blue Murder at St. Trinian's, Pure Hell of St. Trinian's, and then the Great St. Trinian's Train Robbery. Then there was a reboot, The Wildcats of St. Trinian's in 1980.
Same director, though.
Which was a reboot, but it's still same director. And then in 2007, they did St. Trinian's, and in 2009, they did a sequel, St. Trinian's, The Legend of Fritton's Gold. So yeah, it's a long-standing, apparently British series, and I wasn't aware of it, but I got a kick out of this movie.
What a cast on that last one. Rupert Everett, David Tennant, Colin Firth, Juno Temple, Toby Jones. Wow.
Really? And Legend of Fritton's Gold?
Yeah, that's the last one. I was just flipping through them.
Wow.
So, I mean, this is based on a long-standing series. Us Americans are just learning of this, but it's a series that, yes, this one I did feel I missed a little because I hadn't seen the first one, but I still found a lot of enjoyment in it. The characters, the situations, I really wasn't sure where they were going to go with it.
It becomes kind of zoo-like because it's like it's complete. The movie's complete madness.
Yeah. I mean, it is complete madness, but I still found it entertaining. I found this group of girls interesting because they're all strong ladies. I mean, you get that wonderful scene on the boat where the jewel thief is like, he's like, yeah, the minute we hit shore, I'm gonna, hit the bricks. I'm gonna leave you all. And the one a girl, she's like, no, you're not. He's like, what? Yes, I am. And as she's talking to him, you see the other girls creep up behind him and almost intimidate him. Like, yeah, no, you're not going anywhere. And I just loved that scene because I enjoyed these characters quite a bit. And for the fact that it was 57 as well, it just was, it was fun to see this take, this kind of I mean, it gets a little saucy at times.
That it definitely does. Like there's a lot of double entendres. But the thing that really strikes me though is how much is actually going on for a movie that's like 82 minutes long. Mm-hmm. Like everything, like it's amazing. Like everything kind of matters because it's got to deal with one of these like 17 subplots that are going on at any given time. And performance-wise, yeah, it's got some great comedic actors. So,
well, it ends on a really strange note too, because you've got the we kind of talked about them before with the cop who poses the translator. She falls in love with this other guy on their kind of mission, and then at the end, they're sitting in the car, and she sees her former partner slash 14-year long suffering fiance walking down the street doing his rounds, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't be with you. I have to go back and be with him." And the guy's like, "Well, I guess this kind of sucks, but if you're sure." So she gets out and she goes, and there's no dialogue really. She goes up to him on the street and we see them walking away together, and he's just kind of like not having it, kind of pushing her away, and it's really kind of sad and heartbreaking, but it's the end of this delightful weird little comedy. I'm like, what the hell did I just watch?
I got the feeling that this is just like the way their relationship goes, because like you said, they were engaged for something like 14 years.
14 years, yeah.
So yeah, it feels like this is just them. This is just who they are, and I'm saying this with just no knowledge of anything. This is the only one of the series I've seen, so I have no idea if anything else is established in the first movie.
Yeah, I mean, were these, because that is the problem of coming into, were they in the first movie?
Yeah, they were in the first movie and credited. Ruby Gates was, at least. I think he was as well. And that's the thing is, I apologize, I didn't realize this was a sequel till after I chose it. But at the same time, we've talked about it before with more modern films, how many sequels or whatnot, you can kind of come into it and you can kind of follow it for the most part, which I did here. But I really feel we missed out on some character development by not seeing the first one. Like, this one really seems to assume, oh yeah, you've seen the first one.
It must have been a massive hit.
Yeah.
And they and I guess whatever Alistair Sim does in the first movie, he goes to prison for. So,
go ahead, Ian.
Well, I was going to say that's the weird thing is because you see him in the opening credits and you see him for like a split second, like in jail at the beginning of the movie. And then at the end, he's back. I'm like, so that was the big cameo. Like, it makes more sense now if he was in the first movie.
Yeah, he was.
But he just kind of dips for the sequel. But like, if you're watching this, you have no context for anything else. Like, wait, Alistair Sim was in this movie for all of a minute and a half, and yet he gets like his own title card.
Yeah, he gets his own title card, which, I mean, he was a huge star at the time. So.
Sure.
In drag, no less. We have many characters in drag here, which was
when I looked up the first movie, he's apparently playing two parts in that, because he's playing both Mrs. Fritton or whatever the character's name is, and I guess her brother, because it's one of those slashes where it's a male name and a female name.
I gotta see the first one now.
Yeah, I do kind of want to see this now. I'm interested. They've hooked me. I did not think that was going to happen. And I mean, this also was not what I was expecting at all. Like, I was expecting, like a weird little 1950s murder mystery that maybe when you said it was a comedy, you're like, okay, maybe it's making fun of like the old Dark House movies or something.
Right.
I didn't realize it had nothing to do with anything at all.
Mark, I've got a suggestion. Maybe, because I know you already got your plan for next year, but maybe in like 2026, you could do a St. Trinian's year. Try and tie movies in with that, and we just watch the whole series.
There we go.
I mean, yeah, there's got to be somewhere you could slip some of these in somewhere, and we'll get to them.
What's funny with Terry Thomas is my wife was watching him, and in this one I was like, wait, is that the guy from Bed Knobs and Broomsticks? Because he looks a lot.
Oh, no,
it's not. Yeah. But it looks a lot like he looks a lot like him in it. But he was in a lot of other recognizable films. But it was like, wait, is that it? And then it was like, oh wait, no, that's not. That's not.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff that I've seen. Always a comedic role to some degree. Mm-hmm. He's one of the doctors that gets killed in the Abominable Dr. Phibes. I think he's the one watching the Stag film.
Yeah, he was in a Mad World.
Well, everybody
will. But who was it?
Anybody who was alive at that point was in that movie. Ask your grandparents; they were probably in there somewhere.
I've got a question, guys. Apropos of nothing, has anyone made this parody yet? It's a Mad Max World.
No, but we should now.
Yes.
Copyright
now it's out
spoiler
there.
Room. Copyright spoiler room. If you do it, give us credit, okay, folks. yeah.
Oh my God, a Mad Max parody done in the style of It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World would be great.
You go after the treasure. Oh my God, I can see it. I'm writing it in my head now. This is a beautiful thing. But back to Blue Murder at St. Trinian's. What'd you guys think of our group of the older girls? I mean, because one, their outfits surprised me. I'm like, this is 57, and I'm like, wait, are they wearing? Because you get that dance scene, and I'm like, oh, I'm like, this is wardrobe I didn't expect.
No complaints about the costuming.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, I'm okay with it.
Right, but I mean, was it a bit surprising at all? Because I mean, even though I know it was a comedy and whatnot, it just kind of surprised me that it went kind of salacious at some points in this film. Innocently, I will say somewhat innocently, but at the same time, it still surprised me what kind of things they pushed, what boundaries or whatever they pushed in here.
Oh yeah, I mean there's that scene where the three girls are walking in kind of formation down the hallway, and they go up the stairs. And when they go up the stairs, you can see like the seam on their stockings, and I'm like, yeah. Wow. And it immediately made me think of like, why don't we have a Facts of Life remake? I'd like to watch that. But yeah.
That's right. You heard it here, folks. That's right. Striped down the back of the leg nylons equates to Facts of Life remake. There we go.
Hey, you take the good, you take the bad. Sorry.
You take them both, and there you have. I love the little details though in the school though too, where like when she's playing the piano, when they have the one girl playing the piano, it tells it says place bets with Flo. Like they do gambling here as well.
Or on Flo. It said either
on Flo,
bet on Flo or
place
bets with Flo, something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's all kinds of other little details in the school that I thought was interesting.
Well, there was, and I didn't go back to look, but there are a couple of instances where you'd see the walls, and it's in black and white, so it's hard to tell what it is, but it almost looks like blood spray, like arterial spray on the walls. I'm like, wow, what's going on in this school?
Well, and then there's a side in there where the military guys are about something about parades canceled, and there's like 3 different canceling, like it's like sick parade canceled, I think it was said at one point.
These girls are savage. Like they when they know the new headmistress is showing up, they have a song prepared to like lure her into the house and lure her to where they know a panel of the wall is going to open and they can just shove her in there.
Oh, it's great.
And that's what I liked about this whole group, the way they're written and everything. I'm like, I really want to see, these girls. I am very, this is just fun.
I do want to see more of these, yeah, because this was just off the rails, like completely not what I expected.
Well, talking about some of the humor. Some of the dialogue just goes by really quickly. I stopped or rewound and wrote this one down. I don't remember the context, but there are so many scenes where there's 2 characters and one of them is suffering because he has to deal with something involved with the school. And the other person is trying to console them. And at one point, the one guy says to the other guy, "There's only one thing for it, old man. Open a vein." I'm like, wow. Well, I think he settles for an aspirin or something, but yeah, it was pretty dark.
Yeah, well, you had those 2 guys where the one guy, he had to deal with St. Trinian, so he gives him the bottle and he goes, "Here you go, I won't need this for a while." But then the tables turn and later on he gives the bottle back to that guy and goes, "Here, you're going to need this. I won't need him for a while." And I guess one of the scenes that hooked me kind of early with these characters was actually when they're doing the break-in into the Department of Education, because I didn't expect this at all. Like, okay, they're going to break in, they're going to do something like, get into the doors or whatnot. No, they sit there and go, okay, it's all clear. And they have a drill and they drill down the hole. But what they do is they feed an umbrella down the hole, open it, and let the younger kids then chop through the floor, and it catches the pieces in the umbrella to bring it up. And I'm like, that's freaking smart. And then they come down the rope ladder, and then you have the one who looks at it and goes, oh yeah, this is a 1908 such and such. This safe will be easy to crack. And I'm like, I love this group of characters. These characters are great.
Yeah, and then later the next day when the guy he steps over the carpet where the hole was where they were drilling. It's a great effect because he gets sucked down. Like you see him fall to the floor. The carpet is like it's going down a drain. It's so cool.
Which then sets up a wonderful gimmick later on as these guys in the office are dealing with St. Trinians. In the background, you have these workers who have not roped off, but actually fenced off the area where the hole is and set up like this little camp to where they're cooking coffee and they're always on break while they fix the hole.
I mean, they're full on war with these girls, which I mean that's the earlier on in the movie when I mentioned that the soldiers kept disappearing. You're like, oh, are they dying? But then of course you cut to the inside of the school and no, they're just hanging out with these girls, and like half of them have like probably lipstick kiss marks on them or something. It's really. It's fun, and that's kind of why I wish that the second half of the movie, I think, were as strong as the first, because once you start getting away from the antics of these girls, and perhaps it's because I haven't seen the first one. Maybe the first one was heavily loaded with these kind of schoolgirl antics, so they're trying to branch out, which I can appreciate. But coming in cold, I'm like, it just seems a little bit off balance.
Well, the other thing that struck me is the first time we see the soldiers outside, they're all in traction. And I'm like, wait, did they send guys here after they were at a war? No, they've been there the whole time. This is what these girls are capable of. They did this to the military.
Well, you got the one. I mean, they don't actually show it, but there's someone firing off a machine gun in the beginning. She happened to get a machine gun and she's shooting it, and that's what I think that's what they do very well in here. And yes, I'm going to give you this moment, folks. You knew it was coming, but they set up very well, very quickly, even if you didn't see the first film, though, what type of girls are at this school that you're dealing with. Because just from the other actors, whenever the name is brought up of this school, everybody knows this school and it has a reputation and no one has to deal. Even our Captain Ricketts, I love that last name, by the way. Even Terry Thomas's Captain Romney Carlton Ricketts, he even knew, because when the minister from education, who couldn't find anyone else to transport St. Trinian girls, comes to this guy who's in desperate need of some money, he goes, no, wait. No, don't tell me what school this is for. And they never say it, but he's just like, what have I done to you, Lord? He's like, and I love that. And they establish just, even if you didn't see the antics, just everybody's reaction with the mention of the name, it was a great buildup. So you knew who these characters kind of were, at least general, before we even meet the girls completely. You've got the military guys who are going, wait, who's coming to relieve us? Wait, really? In like 10 minutes? All right, the cops we're getting the hell out of here. And you're like, oh my God, what did they do to these guys? And yeah, I think it's a great setup, and you don't see that quite as established nowadays, to where they're able to quite quickly give the audience an idea of who you're in for.
Yeah, I mean, the one of the telegrams that comes through says, to avoid poisoning Western European relations, we recommend withdrawing from competition. The other weird thing about this is they keep referring to these girls going to Europe. I'm like, last I checked, I mean, it's the UK, right? But
I guess they mean continental Europe.
Yeah, they mean the continent.
Yeah,
continental Europe, and it's also Britain in '57, so they may feel that they are separate from you.
I mean, I've heard, in other British comedies, I've always heard the expression continental Europe when they're referring to anything.
And they do mention continental the continent, or they say refers something along the lines of continent at one point, I think, in this film. So
yeah, well, that's good to know, because I was very confused. I'm like, this school isn't in America because everyone's talking with British accents. I'm totally confused.
Though I did like the montage of, because as they tour Europe, they're supposed to do these things where they're representing Great Britain, and they like get first to is it like a rugby? I think not rugby. Was it lacrosse?
Cricket, right?
Cricket or lacrosse, and they annihilate the other team. Like they're all just knocked out on the grass. And then they go to Mozart. They're supposed to play for an audience, and they play a jazz Mozart, and they're a hit though. I loved that headline, that they were at least a hit. And then when they get to the water polo, that's where we get to this whole thing to where somehow the jewel thief managed to hide the jewels in a water polo ball without it deflating. And then there's a switch in the water polo balls, and meanwhile St. Trinian girls are just drowning the other team. And the prince is there, and they're trying to win favor. Like you get the one, because during this whole thing there's a gimmick to where Cynthia, I think it is, the girl whose dad is the jewel thief, she's been secretly calling the prince and kind of getting in favor with him. And so we get the scene near the end with the water polo where one of the St. Trinian members gets in front of the Italian prince and goes, oh, it does kind of like this fake, like she's in trouble. And then Cynthia's up there, and then the Italian guy, he just walks over her, and it goes to Cynthia. I'm like, wow. I'm like, but for comedies, I mean, what's funny is, for as much as the kind of the innuendo and stuff, and that this film has a lot of charm to it for me, which surprised me, and kind of an innocent charm almost. While it's showing you, or it may have some more spicy type of jokes or whatnot, overall this comes across as actually kind of a adorable, innocent type of film. I mean, it's it's all done for comedy. It's not done necessarily for any other purpose outside of comedy.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm surprised when you said that they made one in 1980 and then another one in 2009. I'm like, are these like in the mold of Porky's, where they're kind of trying to modernize this or something like that? Because I could see this being like a reform school girls type of thing, but I guess not. I assume not.
I was just thinking that too, but then I remembered the cast that we read off earlier, and I'm like, I don't think they would be in like something like that. So
no. Right. So yeah, I haven't seen the film, but I can probably promise everybody out there that you wouldn't get any naked David Tennant. Sorry to disappoint you. But anyway,
they're probably like PG-13 or something.
Yeah, but this film too, it clips along really well. I mean, we do get maybe a little bit of slow spots. For the most part, though, this film just keeps moving. It really does. It does just enough for its comedic scenes in that for you to get the idea across or get a laugh, and it moves on. It's not like an SNL skit. Did you guys feel like this film moved?
Yeah, because there was always something going on, and you're always trying to figure out what is going on in this scene. Mm-hmm. There was Robert Downey Sr. video where he was giving. He said the best writing advice I could give any writer is any scene has to answer this question: who wants what from who and why, and what's going to happen if they don't get it. And I'm like, every scene here basically does that. They're all like their little own self-contained vignettes that then are part of like this bigger movie with like a million things going on. Because then at the end, while the whole water polo thing's going on, we got the jewel thief trying to switch the ball and everything,
and then he goes on the run, and then the younger members of St. Trinians go after him.
And there's like a chase through the Coliseum. I mean, that I was not expecting that from this movie.
On location, Coliseum.
They actually went to Rome.
And I love that he ends up, he's so tired. The jewel thief actually passes out in a room and he has a dream. And even in his dream, the St. Trinian girls like they scare it. It's like this Roman Colosseum where he's picturing himself as like Caesar, and they have all these Roman soldiers come out, and then all of a sudden you cut to the St. Trinian girls in his dream creeping up, facing them with like bats and hockey sticks and such.
And all the gladiators run.
And all the gladiators run. And then they got that shot of the two lions. They go back into their cage too. And I guess that's where this charm comes from, is that they establish that this group of girls are just so scary.
They're so rowdy that not even the lions are afraid of them.
and for some reason that just I dug that. I love that because they go all in on this gimmick. It's not like, oh, you have some good and some bad. No, this whole group of schoolgirls are just rebellious punkers. Basically, if it was 80s, they'd be punks. It really was.
Well, it's interesting because it seems like the older girls that we see are more mature. You see them like smoking or whatever, not so much the little kids, but it almost seems like the little kids are the feral ones, and then they sort of mature into the more sophisticated but no less criminal senior class.
It's still rowdy.
Yeah, I mean, that you could almost have like a full series about like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year of the St. Trinian's girls and how they evolve or de-evolve. I don't know.
And this thing's almost 70 years old, and we're sitting here reading about it.
But that's the thing is, once again, I know this is my broken record for this show, but I would put this up against any comedy that's coming out today. Yeah. It doesn't really feel aged. It's not stuffy. It's very funny and wild in a lot of respects. Things that we didn't expect to see from a comedy from the mid 50s. And it all, well, I would say for you guys, it all worked. For me, I was like, it's a little bit overstuffed in places, but again, that's probably just me coming in to the story already in progress. But yeah, this really works. I was very surprised.
I'm interested to see how the modern ones work. The 2007, excuse me, the 2007 film is on Tubi, so I would be able to check that out. Oh, Russell Brand's in that one too.
So, that was his time, wasn't it? 2007.
Yeah.
But yeah, you still got Toby Jones, Stephen Fry's in that one. So yeah, this actually. But I might have discovered a new series that I might just watch to check them out.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how the more modern versions handle this, because this one wasn't quite Keystone Cops, but almost in many ways. I mean, it's it reminded me of like a little bit less mature Benny Hill of sorts as far as its spirits go and the humor in this, really.
Yeah, I'd say that works. Yeah,
like, in that style. I mean, a little bit less mature as Benny Hill, which, by the way, I always thought, because Channel 18, I remember this, Channel 18, independent channel, 10:30, they played Benny Hill. And I always thought I was being naughty and sneaky because the grandparents would pass out on the couch during the news. And so then I would click, 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 because it's click, folks. That's how old I am. Click, 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 Channel 18. And I thought I was being so sneaky watching Benny Hill. Oh, my God.
You're talking about the dial clicking?
Yes, the dial clicking.
Oh, yeah, I remember that because it was heavy and like, you were hugging that thing. Yeah.
Well, and especially because after Channel 12, you had to flip to UHF because VHF was 1 through 12 channels, and then 13 through 24 was the UHF, and so you had to. That's how old I am. I remember that. That was.
We didn't have the dial, but we had the button one where Channel 2, Channel 4, but it would still click, so it click.
The clunk, the ka-chunk buttons, yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was a little bit more innocent, like Benny Hill, as far as the spirit, because it was one of those where it was just, scene after scene, which is a comedy, it would be like it'd get to like the punchline and it would move on. It wouldn't like go too much past the punchline or the joke with this film. They would do the scene, they would set it up, they'd get kind of the joke or the gimmick, and they'd move on. It was like even with the running joke with the one girl, which all the men's gaze kept turning to, it hit it like 2 or 3 times and they were moved on. But those scenes though didn't go on that long. It was only like 20 to 30 seconds tops for the gimmick before it moved on. So I mean, that's another thing, is where the jokes and the gimmicks and setup and everything, each of these scenes just moves. Each one isn't that long. I think the longest scene is the one in the cafe between Ricketts and the cop. I mean, that's really I think that's one of the longer scenes in this film. And I think that helps with the comedy, because even if the joke doesn't quite land, you're already on to the next one.
It was kind of like a Marx Brothers movie in that way. Like if you go back and rewatch it, you might catch jokes that you didn't catch the first time because you were laughing and didn't hear it. So,
or details or something.
Or some details. So yeah.
Here's a question. I don't know if any of you know this. Is there a box set of this? Like, I can't believe they haven't. If it's the 7 movies,
US,
they haven't put them out.
When I was looking for it, when I was looking at Amazon a couple months ago when Mark announced this, I was looking specifically for that movie. So maybe if I just looked up St. Trinian's.
There is a St. Trinian's collection DVD.
UK or here?
It looks like it's UK though. But that's a 4-disc collection, but that looks like it only has the 4 original movies in it. It doesn't have the rest of them. So yeah, it has the 4 original ones, the Bells, Pure Hell, Murder, and Great Train. It doesn't have the others. I suspect that might be because of licensing too. Because you still have that even over in Britain with film, and that it could be licensing to where the same studio owns those 4, but the rights to the other ones maybe moved on, because since it was based off of a comic strip, more than one company may have rights to it, and that's why they couldn't do a full collection of them.
Well, the original 4 by British Lion, who I don't think exists anymore.
Right.
I don't know if they exist anymore.
Dude. Okay, there's a St. Trinian's Blu-ray. This must be the one from 2007. So they got Colin Firth, but Jodie Whittaker, who was the Doctor Who, and also Misha Barton, who was the star of the OC. Man,
well, when I read off the cast list, I read it off from the sequel, because I was just kind of flipping through them, and then I looked at the cast list at the end. So I didn't see Misha Barton's name, or I just didn't notice it.
Because she was also in. Was it Confessions of a High School President, I think it's called. It's a very good movie. But no, I'm with you guys. I think I got to do some digging and catch up on my St. Trinians.
Yeah, I do too, because if the other ones, especially these first 4 films, the other 3 films of the first 4 are like this, it's a fun, breezy time to watch. It doesn't get too heavy. It's entertaining. And I had fun with it. What about you, Joe? You had fun?
Oh, I had a blast watching this. It looks like the other ones never got a US DVD release, because everything I'm seeing is overseas. No, but I had a blast with this. And Ian mentioned Michael Ripper. It would have been great if he was like an innkeeper of some kind, because that's always what he was in the Hammer films. It would have been amazing.
So just for reference, apparently British Lion Films, active under several forms since 1919. It was originally known as British Lion Film Corporation and entered receivership in June 54. From the January 29th, 1955 to 76, it was known as British Lions Limited and was a pure distribution company. So, they had apparently a contract with, where did I see that? They were taken over by EMI Films. Thanks, Canon. No, just kidding.
So EMI, then Thorn EMI,
then
and
Thorn EMI, and then
so
and
who
then
knows where that chain led?
we know where it goes from there, but
They might have wound. They wind up with MGM, and then probably Amazon owns them now. Probably,
which would bounce to Amazon.
I think EMI ended up at MGM
because
they all buy each other.
Because Thorn EMI was one of the companies, I think, wasn't it, that either had contract or got bought by Canon, and then it failed, and then Canon and that EMI and that went to MGM, which then got bought by Amazon.
Yeah,
it just passed around. Yeah, like a roach. I don't know. But as far as this film goes, folks, I haven't seen the first one, but you may want to start with the first one and go into this one. But even cold diving into this one, I had a lot of fun with it, and you could still follow enough what's going on. And it just, the main theme throughout this entire year, and I do sound like a broken record as well, but it's still a simple fact of this is why you got to look at films older than like 2000 or even 1980. Go back to some, because for all the classics, like, oh, they're stuffy, oh, they're innocent, oh, they're this and that type of tropes that you maybe associate with classic black and white films, you discover films like St. Trinian's, where you're watching this going, holy crap, they did this back then.
It really feels like a precursor to like what we'd see with like Animal House and stuff like that.
Yeah, very
really
much
raunchy group of high school / college kids who are just fucking raising hell. And I think part of what maybe going in blind and not knowing, because maybe the what is going on it was part of like what kept me glued to this.
Sure.
Because maybe not seeing the first one made it like I have no idea what the hell this is.
Well, and that's the kind of the gonzo thing about it is you can watch this without knowing that other movies exist and not be lost. It makes more sense now that we're talking about it, that certain threads like, oh, they probably introduced these characters in the first one, yada, yada, yada. But even if you just imagine that it's a stone standalone thing, like, wow, the premise is as batshit as the characters. And I love that.
Yeah, me too. And it actually has a decent production value. I mean, the DVD that I got here, because I went up, folks, and I actually ordered and got the DVD because not on streaming. There is a copy like on Facebook. Someone posted for Facebook video, but it doesn't look. It looks like ass.
It's terrible.
It's horrible. This was wonderful. I'm glad I ordered this because this is something that I might watch again, not in the near future, but I could watch and I could see myself putting on in the background even while I'm doing something. It's one of those where you could have fun. And yeah, it is not that long, and 83 minutes approximately. And yeah, I think we're all in agreement that it was fun. So there you have it, folks. Blue Murder at St. Trinian's. Hey, I pronounced it right again. I'm like 4 for 4 tonight on this, man. I'm actually rolling pretty good.
It helps to watch the movie and hear them pronounce it.
Yes, it helped. Yep. It helped quite a bit. I will say I cheated because they pronounce it quite a bit in the film. Thank you very much. So yay. Whew.
I'm kind of wondering after this one, what's pure hell at St. Trinian's?
Yeah, right.
I think that's the next one. I'm like, all right, if this isn't pure hell, let's see what is.
Yeah, well,
unless they get some girls that join St. Trinian's that are so bad that even the girls of St. Trinian's have a problem with the new girls of the new class.
It's hard to say where you would go with pure hell at St. Trinian's.
I'm kind of wondering now if the 80s one tried to go too raunchy, and maybe that's why that's not on the box set.
It could
like they disavowed that one.
Okay. Yeah, I got to watch the rest of the St. Trinian series.
Oh, did you just look up a synopsis for Pure Hell?
I looked up the synopsis of Pure Hell of St. Trinian's. So the Pure Hell of St. Trinian's, the synopsis is the Hellions of St. Trinian's are recruited to a sheik's harem. Little does he know what he's letting himself in for.
Okay.
So that's kind of a similar plot here, because here it's they're bringing all these wacko girls to this Italian prince, and now the next one is going to be how are they going to be around a sheik's harem? Okay.
And it looks like as far as the side characters, like the superintendent, the sergeant, Ruby Gates, Butters, they are all back on this film.
Is Alistair Sim back, or is he done?
Alistair Sim actually is not listed in the initial credits. Let me see if he's listed further down. But which would be interesting since they tease him.
He flat out returns to the school.
He flat out returns to the school. I don't see Alistair Sim. Oh wait, no, Alistair Sim does not appear to be in the cast of the.
That's a shame.
The next one.
Is Terry Thomas back? Was he one of the ones you said was back?
No, he's not. George Cole though is back as Harry Flash, the guy who sells, who introduces ladies to folks. So, and the superintendent is back as well. But yeah, it's just that. Yeah, it looks just as crazy. And that synopsis alone. So, yeah, there you have it, folks. St. Trinian, seek out if you're looking for, if you like your British humor, just a little bit on the adorably spicy side. I don't know how to put it, but
we got more Hammer Films regulars in the next one. You got Thorley Walters, who's in Frankenstein Created Woman, and a couple of others. You got Dennis Price coming in. So yeah, there's the Carry On movies and Hammer Films are probably what a lot of British actors are doing during this time period. So
nice.
But yeah, so there you go, folks. Hope you enjoyed this conversation. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the film enough. Going in blind, I just picked it because it had murder in the title, and then I watched it and go, it makes me want to see more of these films, at least the first four, because they look like something different from the 50s, so there you go. Thank you so much to my crew. Thank you to all the wonderful live people we had tune in tonight. Appreciate it. Ginger Soul Stitch, I'm glad you enjoyed it. She gave us a little lol at one point, so I appreciate that. And yeah, I appreciate all of you out there. And now this is where I give my crew members the license to shill. So by all means, Ian, your first shill away, my friend.
I'm Ian Simmons. I run Kicking the Seat, which you can find at kickseat.com. You can also find me on YouTube. Just look up Kicking the Seat, and I'll be there. Do interviews and movie reviews and roundtables, including this coming Wednesday night, July 31st, talking about Deadpool and Wolverine, and or as I like to call it, Fight Night. Because I'm going to be
a spicy conversation. That's going to end up being.
I'm going to be in the minority up against a panel full of people. So yeah, it'll be good. So join us 8 p.m. Central. Yeah. And I'm also here every Monday talking movies with Mark and Joe a lot more frequently lately. I love this little party we have going here. This is great.
Well, yeah, since he started doing these, the pre-code movies, like pre-code movies have been a little bit of a blind spot for me. So let's do them. And then I was like, all right, well, I dig a lot of the movies he's showing. So I've just been coming back. And with this one, I was just like, what the hell? I thought it was going to be a British murder mystery from the 50s. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And then pleasantly surprised to find it's not a stuffy British mystery. It's actually a very funny British comedy.
Oh, yeah.
And Joe, the license to shill is yours, sir.
Literary License Podcast. We're going to be we just recorded the other day we did Spirited Away and Kiki's Delivery Service for Dark Families. And we just recorded Dead of Night and The Devil's Messenger for anthology horror. And then coming up, we're gonna have Tales from the Hood.
Yes,
I don't remember what the other movie is. I didn't look at it before I came on here. I literally finished the movie right when I came on here. So I didn't look up what we were showing in the next couple weeks, or what we were covering in the next couple weeks. But you can check us out at Literary License Podcast. That's it. That's all I can shill right now.
Tales from the Hood. That's a fun
That's a
one.
great one. I can't wait to
That's-
revisit
that's-
that one.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, I just picked the library had one of their bag sales recently, and that's evil because the library, guess what, carries DVDs. So for $5, you can fill up a paper bag. You can fit a lot of DVDs in a paper bag.
Oh yeah.
So one of the movies I ended up going through and being able to fill some of the holes in my collection that I meant to have, but I just don't have. So like, ones that I've seen plenty of times before, like Sneakers and that. And then I found Don't Be a Menace to Society While Drinking Gin and Juice. I think it was.
Don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
That's what it is. Yes. So I found that and I'm like, oh, I've got to add that one to the collection. So speaking of adding to things, folks, yes, this is the year of voting, but here's some fun voting for you. Go over to specialmarkproductions.com. There's a link right there for the Over the Hill poll. Yes, next year I turned the big 5-0, and so I decided for our special series next year, whereas this year we had pre-code, next year it's the Over the Hill series. Yes, that's right. We're going to be looking at movies from 1975, but what movies we review next year, you get to decide. Go there, click the button that's right there for the Over the Hill poll, and vote up to 12 films that you would like to see us from 1975 cover on the Spoiler Room next year. It's going to run till November for the voting, and the top 12 votes are going to be the films we cover next year, one each month, for our Over the Hill series as we celebrate 50th anniversary films along with my 50th anniversary of being on the planet. So there you have it. Look for that, folks. Specialmarkproductions.com for all your movie man needs. Thank you as always. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all the bells and whistles here. And make sure you check out Ian and Joe's stuff. I have these folks on my show because it makes our show so much better than just me rambling for an hour. So thank you all. And until next time, we'll just say a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.